If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to Downfall Network for more cool content. What's up, everyone? Thralls Metal here once again. I'm Necrotic Nick.
I'm Jammin John.
And we have an album review for you. So another one that came out on the 20th of November, a busy weekend.
Yeah, no shit.
Was Skelethal's second album, Unveiling the Threshold. This comes out on Hell's Headbangers Records. This band formed in 2012 in France, and they are flat out old school death metal. Really don't know much outside of that. They definitely have some EPs as well as another full length of The Depths, which I do own, and I actually have the demos for this album, or at least two of the songs on this album, called the Anthropomorphia demo from 2019. So I had a little bit of an inside track, at least on some of them. And pretty much if you love old school, like late 80s, early 90s death metal, this is your band, in case you didn't know.
Or if you like a lot of other music that has come out this year that has tapped into that late 80s, early 90s death metal feel.
If you love bands that love bands from 1989 through 1993.
94, somewhere in there, yeah.
Yeah, that played death metal. This band.
Yes.
This is one of them. So pretty much this album starts off with, I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce this, Sidereal? Something like that.
Something that we didn't look up before we started this video like we said we were going to do.
Yeah. Something like that lifespan. Very cool, creepy lead-in, and then boom, we are into very thrashy death metal. And this is the band's main pocket. They love this thrashy, up-tempo death metal.
Yes.
But with a very murky production.
Yep, sounds like it was recorded in a swamp while the band was gargling syrup.
Yep, there was a church in the swamp, and that's where they stayed, and there were no beds, just slime. They rest in slime, and that's
they were where the slime live.
They might have been. What is kind of cool about this is this murky production. Mainly, I think it's due to the bass. The bass is very up in the mix, and it is thunderous.
It's thunderous. It's very buzzsaw-y, too. Saw-y? Buzzsaw-y?
That's a term.
Cool. It's that.
It kind of harks to this interesting balance between, like, early Entombed and then everything from Incantation. It has a bit of that buzzsaw tone in the guitars, but it is very, very murky, mainly due to that bass being up and just, again, being dirtier than hell. In terms of like a current band, in terms of a newer band you can compare it to, very, very similar to Necrotic. Now, one of the first songs that I heard on this was courtesy of the demo, and hearing the more polished version, albeit not much more polished, it's still very raw, Anthropomorphia. Now, this starts off with a killer thrash D beat, lots and lots of like early death and autopsy worship.
And bolt thrower. Is that early bolt thrower groove.
Really cool breakdown in here too. And there's this really cool like droning lead that kind of comes through. And I have to say, like, I detected just a little bit of death and roll. So a little bit of like, you know, Wolverine blues just kind of peppered in there. Another thing these guys do that pops up on this album that kind of shows up in terms of like faster stuff that they do than regular just the thrashy beats is when it comes down to like the blast beat sections, it has a fierce like grindcore or death grind feel. Now the demo they put out from 2019, they covered Terrorizer, and I think there's a good reason why, because they love that band, and there is just hints of kind of grind peppered in there. When the vocal cadences kind of switch in the grindcore thing, it kind of has like kind of that grindcore cadence. And a song like Cave Dwellers, you definitely hear that, and then you also hear like these big kind of crusty D beat sections.
Yep.
Like it almost kind of sounds like the dirtiest version of Motorhead you've ever heard. One of the cool things on this album that I really liked is the lead work. The lead work it's really good, but it's kind of interesting how it's peppered in there. There are no long leads.
Yeah, it's not there much at all, but I did get a lot of like Trey Azerga. A lot of Morbid Angels, Squealy Dive Bomb.
I got like a lot of like James Murphy, like around like Cause of Death and Obituary. They're very tasteful. They're not all like Squealy Dive Bombs too. Like you get some really cool intricate melodies and such. It's kind of interesting that you don't get like a singular long lead here and there. Like it's very much like, you know, short lead, vocal thrash beat, and then boom into like another bridge, and then hey, we got a different lead.
I mean, I guess you could say, at least they're there. At least the leads are there. I've heard bands this year where the leads don't exist, where you think they probably should and they don't. I wish they were a little longer. That is a gripe I have. And in fact, another gripe I have would be that there's not a lot of breakdown and or doom moments, because they do that really well too. It just doesn't show up very much.
When it comes down to like the groovier moments, the drummer, who does a great job in this album.
Yes.
I really, really like
phenomenal
the drummer.
job.
But when it comes down to like the groovier moments, like, you know, those like just, you know, bolt thrower kind of grooves, obituary, jungle rot, stuff like that, he likes to do a lot of off time stuff, and that kind of throws you off just a little bit. Now, granted, I like the technical approach to it.
Yes.
But I was just kind of hankering for, you know, those, you know, nice little head bobbing grooves, especially since the rest of the album you're just doing this because it's fast almost all the time.
Which I don't mind. Like the song On Somber Soil, it does have this really cool groove to it when it starts out, and then it's got this melody behind the groove that's cool, and then you get this little like chugger intro. But for overall, throughout the whole song, it has like an off-time groove to it.
And then when it comes down to like the nice, slower, like death doom grooves, granted, I wasn't expecting much of that because I have their first album. Their wheelhouse is generally more in that thrashy sort of pocket, like, you know, Pestilence, like early Pestilence.
Yeah.
It was just fast almost all the damn time. But when you get down to Adorned with the Black Vertebrae, which is a hell of a title, starts off pretty much like a lot of these songs. Fast, abrasive. Actually, I like the super aggressive intro to this song. But all of a sudden, out of nowhere comes this absolutely disgusting death doom break.
Yes.
And man, does this part stand out. Like, because there really isn't another spot on this album where it sounds like this one moment.
At least not breakdown-wise. There is one last killer moment on this album.
But in terms of like that overall like death doom feel, like
there's really not. They
nailed it there.
Yeah. Yep.
It has like a killer harmony in there. It kind of accentuates that doomy feel. And then when it gets down to like the solo that's on top of there, it is appropriately squealy and evil sounding. And this is just kind of a cool little pocket moment of atmosphere. There's definitely atmosphere on here. There's like, you know, dissonant chords and such. But this is one moment on here that really just absolutely killed it. And they slowly picked the song back up. They didn't immediately go right into like a thrashy blast.
Yeah, it had a good build to it.
Yeah, it worked into like a double time rhythm and then, you know, to a D beat stomp. And the transitions were really smooth, and it was like, man, that is a killer dynamic moment. I would love to hear more of that.
So they give you just a little bit more of that. When it leads into my favorite track on the album, and I think Nick's favorite too, Abyssal Church, The Portal Revealed. Woo! That is fucking killer. Hello there, doomy atmosphere.
My God, these guys took the time to really build an awesome song here. First off, this is the longest song on the album. It is over 7 minutes.
7 minutes and 24 seconds, I think.
And they took the time to have like a cool little lead in. You get some waves crashing, or like maybe on a pond or something like that. And there's water. There's water. It's probably evil water. Dissonant, clean guitars, and then starts getting doomy, really cool accented toms.
Yep.
And this song
took them 2 minutes and some change before they even inducted vocals into the song.
Yeah,
which is
I was like, let's get going on just, you know, setting the tone. It does break into their fast wheelhouse, but it also goes back to the groovier moments. The song had more atmosphere. There's like, 3 separate leads on here at least. Lots and lots of cool moments. Like pretty much all the dynamics that I was really looking for throughout the album kind of showed up
at the
in
end.
The last song.
Yep.
Which, honestly, I would love to hear them do more of this. I love the fact that they balance out the atmosphere and the flat-out intensity. Because, I mean, this album is flat-out intensity across the board. Like, it really doesn't hold back. But I think they're just too comfortable in this wheelhouse. They like the fast stuff, which is awesome. I love the fast stuff, too. But here's the thing. When they do stuff that is a little bit outside of that, like namely that death doom break and like building a longer song, they really succeeded.
They do it very well.
And I don't know, I just feel like that should be stuff that should be incorporated more in this because it gives you a more varied listen. So overall, I'm going to give this 3.5 stars. I like what I've heard here. I'm going to have to go back and listen to their first album again because I'm not sure if this is an improvement or pretty much kind of the same or worse. but I know I liked both of them. But overall, I love the fast, thrashy songs. I mean, that's pretty much the bulk of the album, but I really liked when they got outside of that. And it's kind of a shame they didn't do that more. Drum work is absolutely fantastic on here, and if you love murky production, well, there's a good chance you probably have already ordered this album or picked it up in a store. This is a pretty solid album. I definitely recommend checking it out.
I'm going to give this a 3. Not to say it's bad by any means. It was a solid listen. I said this to Nick several times while we were jamming this album. This sounds like a lot of what's already come out this year.
It's a lot of competition.
And that's not a bad thing, because this year has released a lot of killer records. But here we are, shortly before the end of this godforsaken asshole of a year. This is still a great jam. I would like to see them incorporate more than just that thrashy sound. Because of the way this album is produced and because of the overall tone of this band, I don't know, it just kind of screams like there should be more death doomy moments to kind of incorporate better in with the thrash. Again, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, I'm just saying that for me personally it's a good record, but I 3. You know?
So if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you are new to the channel, subscribe, because we do shit like this all the time.
Like every day.
Like every day. We will catch you later.